I love the internet. I'm on it all day. And I hate the internet. I can't wait to put it away.
That's a rhyme. That's a bar right there. That's a bar.
Thanks.
It's a bar.
Stupid. Yeah. I got rhymes.
Thanks.
I'll give you an example when I hated the internet. Andrew Wiggins. Absence. Like the internet.
Oh, I loved it.
You really?
Rumors, conjecture.
Rumor has it.
No, I love it. I love when we all can, from however many miles away, hundreds or thousands of miles away, make a determination based on a man's Instagram feed or his girlfriend's Instagram feed.
Yeah.
We can make a determination based on that and the resemblance of one's children and make a leap to decide why a man is not going to be doing his job. I love the internet for that.
I like the
Super
reason
sleuth.
I bring it up because I don't even know if this is some sort of a podcast. I don't know what network it's on, but there's this It Is What It Is podcast or something. There's three people are sitting up at a desk and they're all just kind of dropping opinions and talking basketball. And apparently one of the people up there is a guy who thinks he knows somebody who knows somebody or something. And he's got all the details of what Jordan Poole and Draymond Green said to one another that set Draymond off that day. And I look at it and I go, okay, well, that makes sense. But do I believe this? I have no idea whether or not to believe this because internet. I have no idea.
If it's on the internet, it's true.
And I guess
I thought we'd already been through that.
I mean, I guess at this point it doesn't matter also. I guess it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? He's gone. Jordan Poole's gone. But I will say that until Draymond's back, then this remains a pretty sort of like potentially naked spot for the Warriors. The more we hear about this, the more I think, because let me just put it out there, and I think you're with me. I think the chances of Draymond not being with the Warriors next year are next to zero. Next to zero.
I'd put it at about 5%.
Really?
Yes, I would.
I put it at
You'd say 99.9 to 0.1.
0.00001% chance that he's not with the Warriors next year.
I think the only way is if another team comes in with a huge long-term money offer and it's an offer that he can't refuse. For example, if the Lakers were to give him 4 years and $120 million, 4 years, 30 per, I could see him taking that deal to go play with LeBron. Right now they're swapping berets and croissants.
I know
in France, at least they were
with matching bucket hats.
Adorbs.
They are besties.
Je t'aime, LeBron.
They need their own sitcom theme song. You know, like just a little edited piece of them walking around France together.
Bosom buddies.
Matching hats, matching croissants, whatever it may be. Yeah, that little theme song would be good.
LeBron or Draymond's laying down near the Champs-Elysees and LeBron steps over him and Draymond reaches up and pops him in the jewels and they throw their head back and they laugh.
Yeah, but I don't think
they recreate it.
I mean, even
even
the rumors we're hearing, none of the substantiated ones are about the Lakers.
Sure.
They're all about the Kings or the Heat or whatever. But I think the chances are next to none. However, until it's done, this sets the Warriors up in a spot where, again, if they were to not bring him back, it's the most embarrassing moment in the history of the Joe Lacob era.
You're right, because why the hell would you get Chris Paul? If you didn't want to run it back, you got Chris Paul to come in and pair with your other veterans because you wanted to run it back. Well, if Draymond's not back, then what's the point in bringing in a 38-and-a-half-year-old Chris Paul? You would have been better off with Jordan Poole if the reason you got rid of Jordan Poole was solely because you didn't think he was that good at basketball, then you wouldn't have given him that contract. So there had to be some of it that was an outgrowth of what happened with Draymond Green. So if Draymond is not going to be here, why would you part ways with Jordan Poole to bring in the 38-and-a-half-year-old? I mean, saving money, yeah. So then Draymond goes, and you're saving more money, and you're maybe even underneath the luxury tax threshold at that point, but you're not a championship team anymore.
We'll go to the phones on this in a sec, but Dibs, what do you think of this? This is from NBA Today, where today they had a guest by the name of Chris Paul. And this is what he said about joining the Golden State Warriors.
Me and Steph have known each other a long time, man. My wife was at his wedding. I think him and his wife was at our wedding, but we've known each other for a very, very long time, man. So I'm excited to get a chance to play alongside him. You know, Clay, Wig, Draymond, all them, man. They got a unbelievable organization, and that team is just, they've been playing together for a while, and they know what they're doing.
Okay, there's three things here that popped to mind. The first of which is Chris Paul does not even know who was at his own wedding. That really stuck out to me. I think Steph was at our wedding. When you know if Steph Curry and his wife Aisha were at your wedding, you should probably know that you're here for more than just running around the store with the little price gun when it's time to register.
He got married 12 years ago to Jada Crawley, and I don't know how many people were at his wedding, but if we went back to your wedding, or heck, my first wedding, which was 25 years ago, if you gave me a multiple choice of certain names on whether or not they were there, and I had about 175 people at the nuptials, I'd be hard-pressed to remember everyone who was at my wedding, so I'm going to give him a pass.
I would just like to say to everybody who was at my wedding, I can remember all of you, and I'm sorry I wasted your time. But anyway, here's the other part about this that's actually basketball related. First of all, I can't wait to play with Steph and Clay and Wiggs and Draymond. Throws the name in there. Is that just
Kevon.
Is that just out of habit, or is he like everybody else who thinks this is already really behind the scenes a done deal that Draymond Green is staying? I think that's important. Like this guy, you don't treat free agents like that when you're among the brethren. You don't, like Draymond's going to be, you don't make that assumption. That's kind of messing with somebody else's money in a way, unless you know something.
Well, Chris Paul was acquired, so he was not a guy who, you owed it to him. Like, hey, you're a free agent. We want to give you the full scoop on what's going on. Now, Chris Paul at 38 and a half has the gravitas around this league to where when he gets word of the trade, he either calls Dunleavy or he calls somebody and says, hey, who am I playing with? Is Draymond going to be there? Because if Draymond's out, maybe Chris Paul then is like, I'm not showing up. If they say, hey, we're trading Steph, we're trading Clay, it's going to be you and the kids.
See, that's the other thing that I take from this, which is I learned this over the weekend. People who are outside of our market, many of them think that Chris is just being bounced around the league until he gets bought out. There are a number of people I talked to this weekend that are like, well, when he got acquired by the Wizards, nobody thought he was going to play for the Wizards. He's not going to play for the Warriors, is he? I'm like, no. No, he's going to play.
This is different.
Yeah,
the Warriors and the Wizards are not the same.
No, I know, but because so many people would be like, Chris Paul? He's not going to the Warriors. But yeah, he is. And you'll notice Chris Paul did not have a press conference or go on NBA Today to talk about his fit with the Wizards, but he did here with the Warriors. Like, for anybody who's still holding out that kind of a hope, he's staying and he's playing.
For 1 year.
Yes.
For 1 year.
Correct.
He's not, I don't think that he's here beyond this year.
I agree.
Even if they win a championship. I mean, if they win the championship, I don't think that Chris Paul is going to be brought back, certainly at $30 million, which I think is where it's a partial guaranteed deal for next year. So this is a 1 year. Hopefully this works. Let's make the best of it. And then that money comes off the books. Yeah, and so does Clay's $42 million.
Well, but that was what I was just going to say. If they were to win a championship this year, Clay is the one who gets the new contract, not Chris Paul. Clay is the one who stays.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally, I look at
Chris Paul will be 39 next year.
I look at that as the most underrated, underreported part of this deal is that with what was told to us when we were in the building on Thursday with regard to the future of the CBA and how it affected the Warriors, without boring you with the math, here's the real. If Jordan Poole is still on the roster next year, Klay Thompson is not.
Assuming that Draymond resigns.
Assuming that Draymond is on the team, which we all assume.
Because you'd have Steph, Draymond, Poole, and Wiggins all making around 25 apiece.
I think that's important to stress because for Warrior fans out there who may not understand this deal, may not like this deal, if you have any bullish thoughts about this coming season and you think it's going to go well, then basically keeping Jordan Poole means Klay Thompson's career with the Warriors ends this year, and that's it. And I like,
unless you would have traded Jordan Poole at the end of this year, which it's easier to trade him now than it is to trade him at the end of next year, when he's got just the 3 years left.
Right.
And if you really want to make the most of the final years of Steph Curry's career, I would imagine he wants Draymond by his side and also Klay by his side, which means somebody's got to go. Andrew Wiggins' contract is a relative bargain, so he's an easy one to keep. Kavon's staying. Then you have all those little ancillary pieces, and you get something for Jordan Poole for this year and this year only, and you worry about the future then.
Yep, and you're able to recalibrate money-wise. I was just watching highlights from a previous All-Star game where Steph Curry and Chris Paul were throwing lobs to one another and smiling and high-fiving. And it's not that any of us are wrong. Like, yes, it's been a bumpy relationship, a rivalry type relationship between this organization, its players, and Chris Paul through the years. However, I see nothing that can't be swept under the rug with one glass of wine. That's it. So, like, if the thought is, how do these guys play together? They can, and they will, and that's been checked through with all of them.
Yeah, and I think that we as fans and in the media overstate a lot of these feuds and rivalries. Unless you got somebody who cold cocks somebody else in the face, which doesn't happen, like Mirotic and Bobby Portis, they probably don't send each other Christmas cards. So now that's a real thing. Trash talk and crossing the guy over and letting him hear about it, that's nothing.